Well, good morning. This is Rod Ballard, and I want to talk about artificial intelligence, or AI, which is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful phenomena to come along in a long time. Some refer to it as the holy grail of power for all kinds of usage, from designing a bridge like the Golden Gate Bridge to building optimum spacecraft components to helping students create award-winning papers or projects. With such power comes responsibility, and for us in the classroom, there are ways to use AI properly and as a resource tool, and then there are ways to use it improperly. We can imagine many ways for both, can't we? Artificial intelligence is the ability of a digital computer or computer-controlled robot to perform tasks commonly associated with intelligent beings that would be you and me. The term is frequently applied to the project of developing systems endowed with intellectual processes, characteristics of humans, such as the ability to reason or discover meaning, generalize or learn from the past, and since the development in the 1940s, digital computers have been programmed to carry out very complex tasks, such as discovering proofs of mathematical theories or playing chess with great proficiency. Despite continuing advances in computer processing speed and memory capacity, there are as of yet no programs that can match full human flexibility over wider domains or tasks requiring such everyday knowledge. As college students, otherwise known as busy adult learners, what do you think of or hear from your cohorts about the use of AI? First and foremost, as I advise students when asked about the use of AI, is college students commit to the university studies to learn, to develop knowledge that they may be applied, and may qualify the graduate for gainful employment, and that's the goal, and a good one at that. But copying from your neighbor's paper, as it might have been called back when you were in grade school, or buying an essay or a project from any one of the sites that sell students' work, such as Course Hero, ostensibly with the understanding that the purchasing student will properly cite and reference the documents in accordance with the selected university protocol, such as APA, now APA 7th edition. Students being busy don't always acknowledge purchasing a paper or acquiring the content from an assignment in some other way than creating it themselves. And when this happens, it may be considered plagiarism or academic dishonesty or violations of the university's ethics standards, all to say that the use of AI is serious business. Now, here's an example of an AI-generated narrative about social media's beginning and rapid growth over the past 30 years. It reads well, in fact perfectly, all the way to the in-text citations it includes. An instructor has many ways to detect AI-generated material, sometimes as simply as a hunch. This looks too perfect to me, or this quality isn't consistent with the student's earlier quality. A hunch isn't a sign of distrust, it's something to be followed up on. So let's look at this essay a little closer. An instructor might conclude that there are many AI detection sites available on the internet, free or for subscription. So, like any good investigation, it begins with using the tools that are available, in this case, AI detection. Well, actually, they can fool you for a while. An instructor wants every student to study and work hard to gain knowledge and to grow and to do well in the course, let's say marketing. Now, there are plenty of good marketing jobs for college grads with degrees in marketing from reputable universities. Is the student as skilled as the diploma indicates? Well, they may be if they study, learn, grow, and develop cognitive thinking and excellent writing and communication skills. So an instructor runs the student's narrative, or is it, to an AI detection site, and oops, look what we have here. Not so fast. An accusation of plagiarism is serious business. What other steps can be taken by the instructor? Oh no. A second AI detection site confirms the first site's conclusion. The narrative is most likely AI generated. Now what? The instructor thinks to themselves. Time to report to the university's ethics violation department? Not so fast. There's more. So a reread of the narrative, a review of what AI detection sites report, maybe just one more. As I suspected, a third AI detection site draws the same conclusions as the other two AI detection sites have, and most likely what another dozen AI detection sites would have reported had we taken that tack. But now what? Here's something interesting. I used X's, which is formerly Twitter, X's AI generator named Grok 3, currently the highest ranked AI engine as AI engine measurements go. I asked Grok, how can many AI detection sites draw the same conclusion when most likely they have different ways and means of analyzing the narrative? Algorithms. Mighty engines access hundreds of data sites in milliseconds, many of the same sites used by other AI detection sites, and some are different, I suspect. How can we be sure that the conclusions, that is, the narrative material submitted for analysis, are analyzed in the same way when the algorithms themselves may differ, or change, or expand over time, as AI engine analysis often does? Well, this is a fair question, and one with, I think, a fair answer. Watch. When an investigation is conducted, say a police investigation, the report of a burglary or any other suspected criminal activity, there's one or more detective usually involved in the investigation. One detective may be an expert in fingerprint analysis, and he dusts the scenes for latent prints. Another detective, an expert in forensic analysis, investigates the scene using their tried and true skills. Another detective search often finds credible witnesses to the scene. Witnesses interviewing is their specialty. Another detective investigates pathology, another ballistics, another physical evidence, and so the investigation goes. In the case of a credible first-hand witness positively identifying the suspect, a guilty verdict can be easily concluded. But in most investigations, it's the sum of the individual detective investigations and analysis from different expert perspectives. It reaches a conclusion that, given all known indications at the moment, there is reason to believe that a crime has been committed, and Mr. Bad Guy has committed it. Now, a fair trial follows where juries, in some instances, hear the case and make the final decision as to guilt of the suspect. It is rarely 100%, but based on the preponderance of the evidence. Unreported or uncited AI-generated content is a slippery slope to plagiarism. Some instructors may report it to the university ethics group for review at the jury, and I look for other ways to mitigate the problems for students that use AI-generated content, short of a charge of academic dishonesty. So most universities use APA formatting protocol for formatting requirements. We happen to presently use the 7th edition of APA. APA has much to say about the rightful use of outside sources, including AI-generated content. You might stop and read this or save it for later. This language from APA makes it simple, easy, and clear. Students that wish to use AI-generated content may do so, provided they cite and reference it according to the APA standards, just as they would any other outside source, giving credit to the source through acknowledgement. How to acknowledge in accordance with APA requirements? Well, here are examples of in-text citations and reference page entries of AI-generated material. Return to this page or screenshot it right now for reference. Build a 5-column table and save for reuse and insert the source specifics as shown above. Again, screenshot for future use, but these tables are required when you use AI content. Want to know more? Here's a YouTube presentation offering additional information, presumably accurate as of today, and the one who uses AI-generated content is responsible for the verification of the current APA requirements. If all the student uses is an assignment is AI-generated content, The paper will likely be graded the same as if a student used all or most material verbatim from any other source. Provided in-text citations and reference page entries are used. In the case of AI-generated material usage, a cover page explaining the who, what, when, where, and why for the use of AI-generated content, along with a table explaining source specifics, is additionally required. So here's some possible questions. Yes, students may paraphrase and directly quote AI-generated content as they would any other outside source information, and the additional APA requirements for the use of AI-generated content are complied with. Okay, next question. Ask your instructor about the usage levels of AI, or any outside source of information for that matter. Do instructors want your work, your cognitive thinking, and creative and individual contributions? I suspect so. I would. Then look further, or don't use the content. Look before you leap, the old shallow water warning. Probably not. Few instructors do much of the same. Easy for me to say. Few instructors do the same thing alike, but to comply with academic and university standards. Worth asking the instructor first. There are many more questions, no doubt. If the university has a policy on the AI use in creating assignments, it is to be followed. And why not? Answer this, and you're Mensa smart. You're genius. You're Yoda smart. Remember him from Star Wars? Most likely you're not, and I'm not either. But I do encourage most of my students to become familiar with and to learn the height and the breadth of AI, its use, and its power. Practice queries, develop models, make mistakes, learn, and have fun with it. Do your own schoolwork, meanwhile, and stay abreast of the exciting, perhaps threatening technology. You become the expert go-to person about AI. I can assure you that the AI savvy and rich AI experience on a resume will get some early looks from hiring managers for years to come.